Hey there, friends. Dana, otherwise known as Dana Spirit Butterfly, here through this version of myself. This video is a video which is the energy forecast that I like to do monthly for my clients and friends. Those of you who are curious about spidey senses, the psychic realm, spirit energy, all of which I dabble in various shapes and sizes. We're here today to gift you with a energy forecast. We like to do the energy forecasts on what we call the lunar cycle. This is partially because we choose, me and my spiritual intelligence, that is much more diverse than the human me, have chosen to be here in this moment to express ourselves as a sacred feminine rising. That may be a code word for you, may not be a code word for you, but what it essentially means is that I'm here to tune into an aspect of me that is a little bit chaotic, a little bit emotional, I should say a lot emotional, that's all about feelings, sensations, the gift of sensory awareness and being present in the body to receive information, technology, and to start the process of translating that energy for meaningful information and dialogue that supports me systemically, or in this case, as I'm doing a video for you, supports you systemically. Our goal here is essentially healing. It always has been, and it will always be that. How that shows up, though, of course, is always dependent on the person receiving the gift of what it is that we offer and what it is that you offer in your respective day job or whatever it is that you put your mind to. So this month we are looking at a new moon in Aries. This year we have noticed that the new moons are very closely aligned with the month. So this new moon actually starts on the 1st of April, and it's a fire sign. So fire signs by their nature tend to be quite dynamic. They tend to be very attractive because of their passion for life. And when they're disconnected from their emotional self, they become actually quite boring, and they tend to not like themselves. They are the alchemists. So the fire energy, if you can appreciate that, if I put a pot of cold water on a stove and then turn some fire energy, at some point that water will start to oscillate so fast that the water in liquid form becomes steam. And so this is alchemy, this idea that something can become something else. Although Spirit is reminding me that even though things can become something else, there's always a tangible connection to what it was before, and it can often return back or revert back, is the word they gave me. And so what we really want to express today is that we're going to do it's channel, but it's mostly we're using the spidey senses or psychic senses. Those of you who would be aware, I also run now courses to inspire you to learn a little bit more about your subtle senses. So those parts of you that are connected to the subtle fields, and the subtle fields are actually like a webbing of associated connection between you and me. So me and my own state of presence, I create energy. I also interact with other energy and exchange energy, and my energy can minimize and it can expand. It can do a whole lot of really beautiful things. And so what the course actually teaches you is a little bit about this energetic expansion. The level 2 kind of goes more in depth as to how we're built energetically. But the first level course that I'm inviting pretty much anybody to who wishes to dive a little bit more into this stuff, it's a nice, easy way to activate that which is innately yours, which is what I call your spidey senses. We all have them, and we all actively use them to varying degrees. Most of the time we're not aware that that's what that is, though. And so going back to the Sacred Feminine Rising, when we talk about Sacred Feminine Wisdom Rising, it's actually about bringing something that we've been doing unconsciously for a while to conscious awareness that we're actually doing this. And that's essentially what Sacred Feminine energy, as it rises up into integrated form, does. It starts to become known by you. It starts to become obvious, and you start to voice it. You start to become almost fluent in this new language of associated meaning. And there we find things get much more clearer. Life gets a bit easier to navigate, or some of you might joke, if you've already started the process, that it's not necessarily that it gets easier, but you get better at it. So human condition. I'm being asked just to acknowledge the landmass that I'm on. You might see here to the left or right, wherever it is that you are, in reference to this video, my travel suitcase is there, and I've constructed a travel altar on there for the purposes of this particular video. I am traveling at the moment. Today puts me on Boonwurrung land, which is a land of the Cullen Nation. Thank you. We really like to put that in. This is where I used to live for a period of time, quite a long period of time actually. Not in this house, but in this landmass, and so I have a lot of sentimental attachment to this landmass. So I pay my respects to the elders, past, present, and emerging, recognising that sovereignty wasn't ceded, and that I, an Anglo-Celtic Australian woman of 5th and 6th generation, born here, that I see myself as in connection with that intelligence that's woven through the land, and our connection to country is an important part of our birthright, all of us, no matter where you are geographically located, and no matter where it is that you may be traveling, there's always a connection back to origin and source, which is your birth portal, where you were born geographically. And so now that we've acknowledged those beautiful wisdom keepers, we also want to acknowledge you for paying attention to this particular video, and indeed journeying a little with us today. We do this because it's a calling. We do this because it's an embodiment. When I'm in denial of myself, something else emerges, and I don't feel okay there. So while I'm doing this in this particular space, all things feel in alignment and feel present. So we're going to gift you today also with a little bit of a card reading. I have a new card deck. I want to acknowledge my father who bought me this card deck, because he's part of the reason why I am open to this, because I did have a dad that somewhat understood that there was something else other than the mainstream narrative that he was given, and also the religion that he was raised in. And so I want to pay my respects to my father for being that for me as I was growing up, leaving the window open so that I could enjoy exercising myself in a new reality. So this card deck, I don't have my glasses on, shamanic medicine, I'll credit it down the bottom. I feel a real distinct service in the recognition of card makers. There's a lot of them these days. I actually started reading through cards. It doesn't stop there though. The cards are an interface to connect in with a deeper part of you. They're not designed to take away your sovereign power. And this isn't a really important thing I feel Spirit wants me to emphasize. And we should say, when I use the term spirit in this moment, I'm tuning into a collective consciousness that is basically all of us here in the moment, amassing. It's a layer of consciousness that I'm in access of, but I'm not always there. So anyway, cards, these are interfaces. They help us to discern information a little bit more further. And so the first card that I want to pull, Spirit is saying, this is actually about the first half of the moon cycle. So as we're heading into the first half of the moon cycle, fire energy, passion, you will feel, Spirit is actually showing me a lot of people are losing their shit as well. I'm comfortable swearing, I hope you are. A lot of people will be losing their shit across the first half of the month. There's a cathartic purge that's still going, but also Spirit is reminding me there's actually two streams of consciousness that's waving through the planet at the moment. And some of you are in the higher consciousness, and some of you are still in the baseline consciousness, and some of you are oscillating between the two quite a lot. Spirit is reminding me we've been journeying a lot with this idea that most of us are actually dancing between the two layers, which basically is, if you'd like to appreciate this, there's like the way things were done and the way we were taught things to be, our cellular DNA, our ancestry, this kind of hum that exists in our reality, heading in a particular directory. And then there's the new suggestion, the suggestion of change, the suggestion of there's something different here. There's something that I know I don't know, and I know that there's something there, but I don't fully know what it is yet. And when we're able to dance between the two waves or currents of energy, what often happens is at some point one of them stabilizes. And when one of them stabilizes, we end up experiencing stability for a period of time. Spirit is reminding me that at the moment, the collective grids on the planet because of COVID-19 is still damaging some of our stability of the old DNA strands. So there's still a lot of shifting and changing with regards to our cellular DNA, and the new suggestion that's actually being offered us, some of us don't have the technology yet to download it into our physical vehicle so that we can apply this as technology through actual action. A lot of this stuff takes what we call embodiment practice. A part of that would be you may be going to a somatic therapist or going to a psychologist even, and actually sitting down with someone and starting the process of dialoguing with that which is emerging for you. And being in that dialogue of life is really important for everybody now. Psychological support is needed. All this instability creates psychological disturbances, and the disturbances may be unraveling something that's from your past or from your DNA, but at the moment it's really important that we start to understand the dance that's going on at the moment, because if we're in denial of the dance, we actually get sicker. Our immune system tends to have less robustness in its ability to repair. And so we don't find the new currency or the new wave or the new stream of consciousness easily, or we don't find people around us to show us that that's what that looks like, which is another gift that the Earth Mother gifts us with, other people. And a lot of our dialogues with other people is actually quite meaningful and important. Spirit just gave me, be careful of who it is that you hang out with. There's a certain amount of us journeying at the moment with our connectivity with others and what that looks like. So there's a certain amount of us that are having a difficulty fully staying present in relationships that belong to our old past. And that's not to say that those old relationships can't come with us, because some of them will. It's just that some of them may not be ready to come with us yet. And so at some point you need to acknowledge that you as a system have a certain amount of energy that's brewing in your field that needs a certain amount of interplay between you and someone else. And if you don't have the right people around you to interplay in a way that keeps you in joyful, blissful, open states of feeling safe and well, then you'll find that your robustness and resilience as a human drops, and you find that things don't tend to rebound when you get unwell or where things are asked to be addressed by you. And so I'm getting asked to show you the card. I am actually being shown that this is upside down, so you can see that this is upside down. The first word I got is actually birth, and so birth in itself is a word. Can mean a number of different things. As I'm drawn to birth, I also feel like I need to have a look at the picture. And the picture, of course, is upside down. We'll talk about upside down in a minute. So let me turn it up. And you can see from here, the thing that's drawing my attention is actually the egg. And as I say that, I hear the word energy egg. So I already know, because I've journeyed with energy eggs for a very long time, that when I hear from Spirit energy egg, it's actually talking about the energetic field or the human energy field that surrounds us and that is keeping safe and well. And so I'm getting drawn now back to the fact that this was upside down. So birth in itself is about becoming, it's about transitioning. It's about starting in one thing and then becoming something else. Some of you will be like, oh, but Dana, that's rebirth. It's like, no, birth, rebirth. You could arguably that the soul is chronically rebirthing, even from, death to rebirth. There's always a rebirth. There's always something that precedes what it is that's being born. And as I say that there's something that goes on before the rebirth, I get the sense that that's why the card's upside down. At the moment, we're not being born again, we're being prepared to reborn again. And I'm being drawn, I see in my head, the fire energy, that catalyst. Sometimes the catalyst, this is something that I know, sometimes the catalyst for change comes off the back of trauma, or change comes off the back of something not going right, or change comes off the back of something not feeling good. And I feel like I want to kind of stop there in terms of what it is that's the first half of the moon cycle, because what it is that doesn't feel good is preparing you for what changes are coming in order for you to be on track again, back into that new wave frequency. So I get drawn to my piece of paper here, the word Libra. So the full moon is in Libra. Libran energy is actually a rebalancing. So if you've ever understood the energy of if you've ever seen, I should say, the Libran star sign, you'll actually see it's literally scales with, you know, two sides. And so I feel like as I say that, there's a masculine feminine rebalance. And those of you who have journeyed with me before, we've talked about masculine and feminine energies and how the interplay is really important. So I get the sense that full moon, there's a coming together, and the full moon for this cycle will occur on the 17th of April here in Australia. It might be on the 18th for you if you're somewhere else in the world. But this particular balanced energy is actually something that we're heading towards. And as I say that, I feel the sense of, as I say, heading towards, the energy's ongoing. So I feel like once we kind of find that full moon kind of connection, there's actually an unraveling of something new, but from something old. So I get the sense that there's something that happened before, or something that you were doing before, or something that was really important before, that is now starting to reconnect and become more meaningful. But that's off the back of what happened before. So whatever it is that happened before, whatever it is that was going on before, needed to happen in order for this reconnect to happen. And that is something that I feel like we're landing on, this idea that reverent respect for life and for its cycles is actually a part of a spiritual practice that is quite important to keep space open so that we can stay in the experience of life. And at the moment, a lot of us don't really want to be here. A lot of us don't want to have this experience. You may be lying to yourself and playing mind games, which is where a lot of the technology of the collective consciousness is still at. They're still very heavily in the mind mapping system and in the expression of what it is they think things are, without actually fully being in the self and in the soul and feeling the feelings, right? We're here, remember what we said before about the sacred feminine rising. It's about the repair. It's about that which was hidden, that which we can't see, but we know is coming. For us to actually start the discernment process of translating that energy in meaningful dialogue so that we can see more clearly what it is that is needed from us moving forwards. And all of us have a soul calling. All of us have a recognition of spirit energy that flows through us. But are you listening to it? Listening to it takes courage, especially if you're surrounded by the wrong people. And so with that, we are going to wrap this video up. This is for this month specifically for my clients and also my friends and family members who wish to tune in and learn a little bit more about this. As I mentioned, I'm now teaching a lot more around how to activate our quintessential spidey senses, which basically is the subtle senses. This is the sacred feminine rising. It is accessible to everybody, men and women. And I actually feel it's our responsibility now to understand how this energy works, because it will improve your relationships and it will improve your understanding of what your energy is doing as you're traveling through your life. And when you understand what your energy is doing, you can reparent that part of you that still feels like it's not enough. And this is how we start the dialogue of spirit to reclaim ourselves back in presence, back in wholeness, and back in feeling well and safe. So with that, please forgive me for talking for so long. But you know what? That's what you're subscribed to do. So kisses. Until next time, my friends, I hope that this video finds you safe and well and that we get to reconnect soon. All right. Peace to you.